la la live. Live, live, live. We are live. The computer tells us we are live. Welcome. Hello everyone. Just trying to get all my electronics in order here. Glad you're here on this wonderful Wednesday evening. This is, before I forget, because I'm going to forget to mention this at some point, we will not be doing a live stream next week because we will be doing the whole Florida thing. So it'll be the first time we haven't done a live stream on a Wednesday since we started doing live streams on Wednesdays a while back. So, but we'll be back in a couple weeks after tonight because that's just what we're going to do. So just want to say real quick, thank you to, already we've got super chats rolling in. Mary Page Flynn, back in the partner program, the Primetime Primates. Thank you again. And Marty, thank you for the super chat. Mary Page Flynn, I'm running late, so hello to everyone. Be right back. Well, thank you for being here and being right back when you get back. So we've got, you like that?
Sure.
That's how I roll with that. We've got a few announcements to make before we get into the fish situation. Because we did a video on this a long time ago. Fish I wish I didn't buy. I'm not sure I put that in the description. If I think about it, I will. If you want to see it, you can certainly check it out in, just search Fish I Wish I Didn't Buy Primetime Aquatics, and it will probably pop up there. But I've added some fish to the list since then, and I know you've got some fish because you weren't part of that video. So we're going to talk about some fish that maybe we wouldn't buy again, and it will hopefully help some of you before you make the same mistake that we made. And I've already seen some of you have piped in the chat and they're talking about fish they wish they didn't buy. And I've got some of those on my list as well. Now, before we get into that, we got some announcements to make. Your video today came out on the small scape, and it was really cool. So this video was one where when I was editing it, I'm like, holy cow, you can actually, that works? It really kind of blew my mind. So if you haven't checked out her video on the small scape with the whole duckweed situation, I did a video on duckweed, but it wasn't all that creative, or it wasn't that creative. It was more of a standard thing, but it was pretty cool. It's definitely worth the 4 minutes of your life to check it out and be mind blown over the whole situation. Monday, we did a fish tank cleaning video. We did that because I'm trying to complete the beginner's guide to fish keeping. And that was part 5, just cleaning the fish, and then you cook it up. No, the cleaning the fish tank, and then we're going to do another part to that at some point, which will be more of a kind of like a maintenance sort of thing in addition to just cleaning. So we're finishing up that series. We got a couple more videos to do on that. Tomorrow's members only video is special, right? Why is it special? It is special
because I'm in it.
First time ever. So first time ever, Joanna's going to be in a members only video.
So I'll be in it. I can't necessarily watch it.
No, you can't.
I was there so I can recall.
It'll be the first time. It'll be the first time that you actually know what a members video is about. Most of the time, it's just about us talking smack behind your back.
Hey,
now,
go for it.
Don't tell her that kind of stuff, though. Don't tell her what we say.
Now I can talk about myself.
We have all these
on camera.
Yeah, the members videos. We have all these secret fish room plans that don't involve any of the stuff you want. Some of it involves taking out the nano wall. So we talk about that. Yeah, I've got a whole group of members coming over to rip out the nano wall, unbeknownst to you.
Just kind of pick it up and put it outside.
But it's beknownst to us, right? So Friday, we got a cool species profile coming up. Fish I really like. It's a little one, but I love them. And Saturday, you've got yet another rather creative video. And this was one when you showed. I didn't even. So before I ever edited the video, I'm like, what the heck is that on the table? You're like, oh, check this out. Look what I made. I'm like, why? Why did you make that? And then all of a sudden she showed me why. And I was like, oh, well, that's actually not a bad idea. All right. So
yeah, I've got kind of a streak of very interesting videos coming on. And today's was the first of the streak.
Was the first,
so buckle up.
I feel like I've gotten more into your brain the last couple of days because one of the things that we have to do is if we're going to have videos releasing in the next week or two, we have to really try to get these things out or at least get them made and get them ready to go out on YouTube when they would normally go out. So I've been doing
a lot of videos.
I think at one point we counted.
Yeah.
16 videos that I had to get done to cover us from like the beginning of this week until the end of the middle of the week when we get back. So a lot of video doing. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about all that. So today, we wanted to talk a little bit about fish that maybe we wouldn't buy again because we hate them. We hate these fish. No, I'm kidding. We don't hate these fish. Well, some of them I'm not really a big fan of, but some of them, there's reasons why I wouldn't buy them, and they might not be the reasons you would expect. So if you have, just a note, if you have some of these fish, it's okay.
Yeah.
And two, you're allowed to like fish that other people don't like. And sometimes you're allowed to keep fish that people are like, oh yeah, those didn't work out well for me at all. And you're like, well, they've been working out great for me for 2,700 years. So I don't know what that person's problem is. It's okay. So there are just some things we need to think about.
There's a lot of your fish that I frequently don't like. And I just don't like them.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, you're constantly telling me about, nah, what's that? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about Chuck?
I usually say something like, ugh, Chuck? Ugh.
For those of you who don't know who Chuck is, you need to go to the Weirdest Fish video that we did. What was that? Monday?
I'm telling you, he should have been
a
on
week
the
and a half
thumbnail.
Ago? No, I didn't want to ruin the surprise. So if you don't know who Chuck is, go to the Weirdest Fish video, and Chuck's the last fish that shows up in that video. I think Chuck's pretty cool. It's actually Luke's fish. It's not really even mine. So, all right, number one. The number one fish. The number one fish is actually on the thumbnail of this live stream, and it's the tinfoil barb. Now, I would like to say from the start, tinfoil barbs are actually pretty interesting fish.
Yeah.
If you like really, really active fish, tinfoil barbs are going to be for you. If you're someone who's on the go all the time and you're multitasking 400 different things, just like go, 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 full of energy, hair's on fire, then you need tinfoil barbs in your life. But if you're going to do that, may I make a recommendation, please? The reason why I will probably never buy them again is I bought them I don't even have them anymore, but we bought them a long time ago. And that was back in the day when we had a 150-gallon tank. I'm like, this will be good. And I put a couple tinfoil barbs in there, and they got to be every bit of like 13 inches. The thing about tinfoil barbs is they never stop moving, ever stop moving. And that 150-gallon tank was not even close to being big enough to really suit their needs properly. It was definitely something I regret doing. So the reason why I'll never buy them again is I don't anticipate ever having a tank large enough to keep them properly, or a pond for that matter. I know that there are people who live in warmer climates, and they will keep tinfoil barbs in a pond. That's a great place for them. If you're going to keep them in an aquarium long term, I would say like an 8-foot tank. So we had a 4-foot 150. If that tank was twice as large, right, twice as long, if it was 8 feet long, it was a 300-gallon tank, that would have worked out better. Not ideal, but certainly better. And they're barbs. So ideally, you want to keep them in a pretty decent group, 6, 8, or 10. Think about the size of the tank. You need to keep 6 to 10 fish that are going to be 13 inches and going to be some of the most active fish you've ever seen. And they go crazy when they eat. They are one of the most active eaters you will ever see. And so the tinfoil barbs, they're on my list only because I can't properly house them. And I don't think, it's hard. It's hard to properly house them. It's one of those fish where it's borderline like, should they really be selling these at a pet store?
Yeah.
And if they do, I'm not one to necessarily say, okay, well, you shouldn't be selling those. But if you're going to sell those, there should be a giant warning sign that says you need a massive, massive tank or a pond. Do you have one you want to add to the list?
Sure. Are you ready for mine?
Yeah, it's probably going to hurt my feelings.
Probably. I'm sorry. I've gone back and forth, but I'm on my final resting spot for the Gymnogeophagus. The males give me the heebie-jeebies. They're creepy looking. I don't like them. I didn't like them, but then I did kind of like them. I was like, you know what? They're actually kind of cool. And I didn't like them. I think maybe it was dark and one creeped out or something that scared me, but no.
I think we may need to kick you off the live stream now after that, because
sorry.
I don't know if I want to hear the rest. If you've got more fish on your little paper list over there.
No.
The Gymnogeophagus, yeah, they do have, the Balzani, that's right. Yeah, they've got the big hump head, and sometimes you can kind of actually see through it, and they waddle around the fish room or fish tank.
It's unnatural.
It is a little bit. The females look fine. It's just the males get that big hump on their head.
And I love Geophagus.
They're kind of like...
Not them.
They almost remind me of like a dinosaur, like those old dinosaurs that just kind of had the big plate on their forehead. I don't remember what they were called.
You know what it reminds me of?
What?
That cartoon. Not the mama. Not the mama. Remember?
What?
It was not a cartoon. They were big, they had costumes. Remember? What was that show? And the baby would say, not the mama, not the mama. Anybody?
You were probably watching some.
They were like dinosaurs. It was a sitcom.
All right.
It was right around the era of Alf.
Yeah, that's what just popped in my head. But I don't. It's called Dinosaurs. Is that what it was called?
All right, Lonnie. Yes, maybe it was called Dinosaurs.
All right. So
yeah, maybe the father. It reminds me of the father.
Maybe. Yeah, that was everybody saying that it was called Dinosaurs, and then
Jim
people
Henson's. Yes.
So anyway, yeah, that I get it. I do. I like them. I think they're cool. The other one that I would say I probably wouldn't buy again is the bala shark for the exact same reason as the tinfoil barb. We had those in the 150, and truth be told, I actually had a group of them, and they got to be about maybe they were 5 or 6 inches, and I was like, I don't think these are going to be a good fit. We got the tinfoil barbs in here already. Let's get these out of here. Let's trade them. I went to the local fish store. I brought them back, but I did have one that I just couldn't catch out of that 150 at the time. I'm like, you know what? You're staying in there. And that was another one that got to be pretty close to a foot long in that 150, but yet just like the tinfoil barbs, that is another fish where they would look extremely cool in a group of like 8 to 10 and not something I would feel comfortable doing unless I had a 300-gallon tank, just because of, once again, their activity level, awesome looking fish, but a big group of very active fish that are going to get large, that's another 300-gallon tank type one.
So Liz says, not the Bella, not the Bella.
That's right.
Not
the Bella. And the barb, the tinfoil barb. You got another one?
Oh,
I have a feeling I have it more than you, though.
Oh, I don't think so.
No?
All right. I did that one. All right.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sorry. I'm going to make a lot of enemies right now. I'm sorry.
You better watch what you say.
It's along the same lines. I like fish that are proportional. You have the body, you have the head. Okay? 2 different parts. So
that's why you come here.
The Gymno Geos, the head's too big. The body's too small. This one's the opposite. The head's way too small. The body's too big. I'm sorry. Most rainbow fish.
You don't do the rainbow. That's
Some
true.
of them are okay, like the feather fins. Those are.
Yeah, but those technically I don't really.
I know.
Yeah,
but
those aren't the same.
There are occasionally, I love the colors. They're really pretty, but generally.
Now, what's interesting is you must really hate that 75-gallon because that's the one where we paired up the Gymnogeophagus and the rainbow fish.
Yeah, I don't look at it a lot. And it's all green. You have Kessel lights on it, and it's entirely green.
It's gone a little algae crazy.
It's gone awry.
Yeah, we're going to have to fix that tank. But, so, rainbow fish. I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one because I have rainbow fish and I like them because I like the color and I like their personality. They're not really all that aggressive. And yes, they've got tiny little heads, which means they have a tiny little mouth, which means for the most part, they get along pretty well with other fish. And because their heads are so small, that means their brain is extremely small for their body size. And so they're just too dumb to even do anything bad. That's my philosophy.
Okay.
That's my philosophy. Give me your pen. Let me write that down. Anybody know what movie that's from?
It's not tipping, I believe in. It's over tipping.
No, you did it wrong. It's not tipping, I believe in. It's over tipping.
I said the same exact thing.
No, you didn't say it the right way.
You didn't say the right accent at all.
Yeah. Anyway.
No.
Get your fingers out of my purse, Vinny. I wasn't in your purse. Why are you always accusing me? All right, let's see if we can get it. I gave you a bunch of lines there. All right, next one for me. I don't know if we're going to be making a lot of friends in this video because this next one I think is going to... This is one where I'm going to get some disagreements here from a lot of people.
Okay.
Oh, and I knew this was going to happen. We got some blue spot plecos that are actually blue phantom plecos, and they're absolutely amazing fish.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, right?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw them?
Well, I mean, with plecos, you
Okay.
kind of
No.
them coming to you.
Answer the question. When was the last time you saw one of them? That's the only reason why. The only reason why and I've always said this, I stay away from the high-end plecos, not because I don't think they're absolutely amazing looking. We did that fish room tour of freshwater exotics, and that's like what they specialize in. Every time I turn around, I'm like, man, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's great. Oh, wow, look at that. But I've got these things. I have 3 of them in 3 different tanks, and I never see any of them. And that's the only reason why I probably wouldn't spend lots of hundreds of dollars, probably like $1/3 on a fish, and then...
That's hard.
Yeah, and then you're like, well, I'm going to, maybe once in a while, see it once every 6 or 8 months, and like, oh, look, there it is. That's really cool. So, yeah, that's definitely one for me. Multi-tank addiction. Glad you're here. Always know when you're here.
The live stream is official now.
Fish is...
There's your poop.
Yep. And Will I Am, thank you so much for the super chat. I donated last time. Thanking you for helping. Now I have 7 Cory catfish, 3 baby Bolivian rams, 8 bristlenose Plecos, 1 3-spotted Gourami, really chill temperament, 8 Cardinal Tetras, 8 black Tetras planted. That's pretty cool.
Big
awesome.
thumbs up.
Thank you so much. I'm glad it's all working out for you. That's very cool.
That's super cool.
All right. Now, what you got?
Well, I could, this isn't on my list, but you made me think of it. Pygmy Sunfish, for the same reason. They never come out. They're so cute. They are so cute. I was so happy to get these. Remember?
That's true. Years ago,
I was just so excited. Never saw them. Never, ever saw them. And it was so frustrating. It really was, it was painful.
And the other thing, too, with the Pygmy Sunfish, at least for ours, they wouldn't go on anything but live foods. So they were not eating stuff. That's like true. Prepared foods, but I love those fish. To me, those aren't very expensive. I'm willing to live with Pygmy Sunfish that are, and they stay pretty small. I'm willing to live with those in like maybe a 20-gallon lawn, and if I don't see them all the time, if they kind of shy away and hang out in their plants, but every once in a while it's like I caught a glimpse of one. But that's a $5 fish, not a $100 fish. Got a whole bunch of people like, I see my Plecos all the time. I don't know what it is with me. Maybe it's just my setups aren't that great, but I was afraid it was going to happen, and now it's happened. They just hide in the rocks, hide under the wood. Maybe I see it once a month, but for what they cost, I need to see them more than that. I need to have a talk with them and be like, you cost me a fair amount of money, little Pleco. I think I deserve to look at you a little bit more.
Yeah, at least reserve like a time every day. Like, hey, can you just come out 6 o'clock?
And just like, I don't
Say
eat
hi.
the glass or whatever, just suck on the glass and just
It's like my clown Pleco in the 15.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
He's very elusive. When I catch a glimpse of him, I feel very special.
And so do I. But again, that's a $5 Pleco as opposed to a big expensive one.
Right.
All right, my next one.
Yeah.
This one, I think we're going to get a little bit more agreement. We're all going to be kind of sort of on the same page on this one. It's a cichlid. It is the Aratus cichlid. You know those ones you see at PetSmart or Petco, and they're one of the best looking ones. If you're not familiar with them, if you ever go to a PetSmart, they've got like the mixed Mbuna or the mixed cichlids. That's how they label them, because I don't think they want to take the time to actually label the fish there. So like $5, $7, here's some cichlids, have fun. Well, the Aratus is the one that's got yellow horizontal stripes, and there's a black stripe and another yellow one, and it looks really cool. Now, there's a couple reasons why I just simply will not have these in my fish room. I like Buenos Cichlids, and I know a lot of people think they're aggressive, and they can be, but the Aratus is like, when it comes to Buenos Cichlids, you just know it's most like, as it ages, it might be fine at like 1.5 inches or 2 inches or maybe 2.5, but as it gets a little bit older, it starts to wreak havoc on just about everything in the fish tank. And so I tend to stay very far away from them. I've had people offer me Aratus cichlids breeding groups like, here, you can have these things for free if you want. No. I don't want them. I want nothing to do with them, because I have watched them single-handedly destroy just about each other and then every other fish in the tank, including all the Mbuna. So I can't do it. Mm-hmm. They're really mean. And I'm going to give you one more, and then you can do yours.
Okay.
Another one that, along with those lines, and a lot of people ask me about them, and that is the Demacian Eye Cichlids. So that's the one that's, and those you can also find at the Petcos and PetSmarts, and they'll be like, oh, wow, that's pretty cool. Now, I suppose Demacian Eye and Aratus, you could put those in a tank together. They're both really aggressive, and you'll wind up getting a war, and most of them will get wiped out. But the Demacian Eye have the dark blue and blue vertical stripes. And for the same reason, I've brought groups home only to watch them destroy each other. You just watch these fish absolutely take over a tank. And I don't really want that, especially when you can get Pseudotropheus celosi, where the males look very similar to Demacian Eye. So those two, oh my gosh. Yeah, they cause me stress. And I don't want my fish to cause me stress. So that's my story about those.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we going to be offended again?
I don't know.
You guys can go ahead and speak up about your offense too. Like when we say something, especially this one over here,
I can't believe
who's knocking all the really cool fish. At least mine are like, oh yeah, I hate that fish.
Throwing the thumbs downs and all that, sad faces.
That's right. We're gonna get like 50,000 thumbs downs and one like, and be like, these people, they don't even know what's going on with these fish. Okay, what do you got?
You might be surprised at this one.
I'm surprised by all the fish that you're picking so far.
Guppies. I'm just kidding. I'm just seeing
I was going to be like, all right, that's it. I'm ending it. If that was going to be a thing, I was going to just be like, all right, guys, we'll see you later. We're going to end the stream. Thanks for being here. Sorry, she's not coming back.
I was just seeing if everybody's paying attention. No, a mono shrimp. The bamboo shrimp.
No, not a mono shrimp. Bamboo shrimp?
I always call them a mono shrimp. I don't know why.
They look, I don't know. I guess they kind of look similar.
The bamboo shrimp. I don't
bamboo
like
shrimp?
them.
Yeah, we talked about that was in the video.
I know. I'm just saying. I want to mention it right now because...
So wait, you would never have those again? That's
No, because they're in with our little blue dreams. They're tiny. And then you have giant shrimp. That means I never look at that tank because they give me the heebie-jeebies. The scale is wrong.
Well, I guess so. I know they're weird
look
looking.
Cool in a picture and stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe, no. They're too close to like shrimp you'd find on a plate. That size. So, no. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
If you made them tiny, they would be cute.
I do think that they're strange looking, but I do like their little hands that they use to trap stuff. And because they filter feed. But they are creepy. And you didn't even have any crawling on your arm like I did when I was trying to. So
I wouldn't survive that.
How many of you had them and actually, you do the whole, okay, I floated them, I got them up to temperature, and then you open up that bag and you try to get them out of the bag. The problem I had is I was trying to get them out of the bag and they were getting stuck in the bag, and then they come out of the bag, they got right under my arm, and there was like two of them crawling up my arm.
God,
and I'm trying to get them off. I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing feels like a bug, like a cockroach or something, like a water cockroach. And it was not the coolest thing in the world. I'll tell you that right now. So hold on, we got a couple super chats. Thank you so much, T-Bone Fishes. Guys, you know much about tiger barbs. I'm trying to breed them. Had them over a year now. So any suggestions on how to breed them would be appreciated. Write that down because we'll talk about that in a minute. So tiger barb question. So we'll get to that one. I definitely want to answer that. Benjamin, thank you so much for the super chat. Just got back from golf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you
mean
me? Oh, I'm like, why is that a question?
I was looking at you like, wow, you're all dressed up. I got a t-shirt
I don't know.
on.
I just like the shirt, but it was a huge mistake because, as we always mention, this room gets extremely hot, and we have to turn off all the fans, and now the stupid windows are closed, and now I'm wearing a collared shirt that's kind of like golf shirt thickness.
There you go. Yeah.
And I'm dying over here. I'm just dying.
It's all dressed up for you.
No, I didn't get back from. I don't know how to golf. I think we did like mini golf as kids, but the only thing I can do with a golf ball is I can hit with a baseball bat like 6,000 yards. That was really fun. Is when you take a golf ball and it's like, bam, let's see. Oh my gosh, it just went. I can't even figure out where it went now. It's gone. So yeah. All right. Is it my turn? Yeah, because you did the bamboo shrimp.
Yeah.
All right. My next one is a fish that it was on my bucket list. This is a fish that I have always wanted. And I thought it was going to bring me so much joy and happiness. I figured it would change my life for the better. I thought if I breed these fish, I will be complete.
Wow.
They complete me. And it turns out it was really disappointing. Perhaps you can relate.
Okay.
You want to know what fish?
Yeah.
Paraceptochromis. The Paraceptochromis in the 33, we have it in the 33 long. And here's why. You ever see those pictures? If you don't know what Paraceptochromis are, go Google them. Look them up. And you're going to see these fish that are amazingly colorful. And what you're going to find for the ones that are the most amazingly colorful ones are probably people who took a picture of that fish. So you can get them to color up if you dim the lights. But you keep them on a darker substrate, dim the lights a little bit. Yes, I don't want to provide bad information. They will show some decent color, but they're not going to show the kind of color that you see in some of these pictures because, one, a lot of people, they have these really good setups, and two, I am convinced that they just, when they take the pictures and post them, they're like, saturation, 100, vibrance, 100. They're like, that fish looks like a watercolor painting. Holy cow, that's amazing. And then I get these things home, and I'm like,
They don't look like
they're
that.
pretty much brown, and they've got some light purple stripes. But, I mean, we've got, like the fish room tours, I don't really mess with the coloration on those things, but, or at least not very much. I basically try to match, okay, what am I seeing versus the camera that we're using? But they're not really all that great, and certainly not great for the price I paid, because I guess that's the main thing. If they were $5 fish all day, I would buy more of them. But those fish, when you can find them, are usually extremely expensive. So adults, like the Parasitochromis adults, you could easily pay $75 to $100 per fish. So for that kind of money, I don't think it's really worth it. So are they a $25 fish? Absolutely. And a nice one. Don't get me wrong. I like them. I like the shape. I like the fins, but the colors, just at least for us, and part of it's too because I have a lighter substrate, but it's just not a fish I would spend that kind of money on again. If I could find them for $5 or $10 a piece, maybe. Mm-hmm. What you got?
Well, this is a fish that we don't have.
So wait, hold on. But the thing is, fish we wouldn't buy again.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to throw it out there.
All right, everybody. I guess for fish we won't buy that we haven't bought, and we feel lucky that we haven't bought them. So, phew.
Yeah,
that's the new title of the live stream.
Ever want in our fish room, ever?
I'm gonna get
Not
them.
that you would. No, you wouldn't be able to. I don't think.
I wouldn't be able to?
No, I don't think so. Not
I'm kidding
existing. No.
Challenge accepted. All right. Well, here's the next fish I'm going to get. What is it?
Giant Gourami.
That's actually a good one.
They're not attractive. I'm sorry. They're just. They're big. They're just. They don't look happy either.
They don't look happy.
The two. I've seen two, and they just don't look.
Yeah, there was. Happy. So we saw one. There was a fish. One of the fish stores up in Milwaukee, and then they had a much larger one at the aquarium.
Yeah.
Was it the Cleveland Aquarium?
Or St. Louis?
No, it was Cleveland. It was Cleveland, and yeah, it's an interesting fish. Luckily, I think you're right. I'm not going to put that on my list just to spite you because I'll get this giant Grammy and everybody's like, dude, what you going to do with that thing after it grows? Give it away? Yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, all right, fine. Giant Gourami, you win with that one. Fish we don't have but won't get because we don't have them. And then, all right.
Regina agrees.
No giant Gourami?
Yep. Join the club.
Yeah, I probably can't see. You know who else had one? It was Tim.
Really?
Didn't he have one at one point? Yeah, our buddy Tim. I did Tim's Fish Room. I don't know if that was in there. Big Rich has some at Ohio Fish Rescue. That's the other place I think I saw them. But he's got, he does. Yeah. But those are in massive tanks and they're being kept properly. Of course, I mean, it's Ohio Fish Rescue. Of course, he's going to keep those giant fish properly.
Hypothetically, they are happy. They might not look happy, but I would think they would be
His seemed happy. Everyone I've seen seemed happy. They were in massive tanks. I think the ones you probably saw were like pictures of like, I got a 55-gallon and a giant Gourami. And it's like, can the thing even turn around? Nope. It just kind of sits there because it's stuck.
They were big tanks. They were really big tanks.
Well, I mean, the ones we saw.
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
All right. My next one. And this is a fish I won't buy because I stink at fish keeping sometimes, and that's the Cardinal Tetra. I love Cardinal Tetras. They are one of my all-time favorite Tetras since I was a little wee one. When I was a little boy, I saw neons. I'm like, oh, neons are cool. I was like, whoa, what's those with the more red on the bottom? Those are called Cardinal Tetras.
Yeah.
And I have never been able to keep those things alive. Well, one is because, not one, but the reason is our water is not conducive to keeping Cardinal Tetras because, as many of you know, it's harder water with a higher pH. So that's out now. We do have the RO unit.
Yeah.
And so once that gets up and running, which I've been trying to mess with this week, but I've been so busy with everything, we're going to get that RO unit up and running. And when we do, Cardinal Tetras, I might just break the rule. Fish we would not want. Maybe I might buy that one again. So fish we wouldn't buy again if the water parameters don't change, but if the RO unit gets up and running, fish we might buy later on. How's that for a new video title? So Cardinal Tetras. Do you have any more, or have you exhausted your list?
No, I got one more.
Man, you're
I think
really...
I have one more. I mean, I have one, but I probably won't share it. because nobody would understand.
Would we understand? Will you understand? Is it going to offend us all?
I don't know.
Is it going to be
I
like...
have nothing really against them. They just stress me out.
They stress you out. So, all right. So these are, well, fair enough. I mean, I guess you could add the thing.
And it's because of my first experience with them in one of my very first tanks. And I wanted a nice relaxing tank. And they stressed me out. Danios. Generally speaking, I'm not really drawn to Danios.
That's true.
Because they're just very they're really zippy. I don't know why. I think it's just my first impression. Maybe if I'd get them now, I'd be like, hey, they're really great. But my first, they didn't meet my expectations. So I'm just going to...
The fish didn't meet her expectations. Well, that's not the Danio's fault.
I love them just the same.
Maybe she should have done her research. Can we all just agree that if
you
had done
you should get these, but see...
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Why am I all of a sudden the target of your...
these. Yeah.
I don't know if
I didn't...
Everybody likes Danios.
Those are just things you learn after a while. Like, what kind of tank are you looking for?
Liz says,
I like relaxing tanks.
Liz says Danios are just agitating.
See?
Kim says Danios are spastic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's because that's what some people... So, remember we talked about the tinfoil barb and you want to be a high energy sort of person, but you need a really large tank? Well, what do you do if you're really high energy, but you don't have a large tank? Danios. You can get inspiration. Be like, I'm usually very high energy and I'm running around the house and I'm doing 57 things at once. I don't feel like doing that today. Just look at your Danio tank and be like, well, they're doing it. They're running around the fish tank like crazy little maniacs. I think I can do it too.
Finn Wiggles is here.
Finn Wiggles, thank you so much for the #1 fan jumping thing. I don't know what it is. I'm calling it the jumping thing. It's a pear.
It's a pear.
Yeah.
It's an exercising pear.
It's like a Danio. That little sticker represents the Danio in your life.
Yeah.
And you like the sticker, so you must like Danio, so I think you can take all that back.
Wow.
All right. My next one is one I haven't had in a very long time because I learned my lesson as a Ute. And that is a surprising fish. The Piranha. Ugh. I think it's one of those things, especially for younger people, where it's like, piranhas, they've got teeth, and they always look angry. They must be dangerous, and they'll chew your face off if you put it near the tank. I'm going to get some piranhas.
Yeah.
Or piranha. And then you get this thing, or things, and you're like, all right. When they're young, they're kind of somewhat swim around, and then they get a little bigger, and you're like, this thing doesn't really move all that much, unless it's time to eat. And at some point, you really get sick of throwing fish in a tank for another fish just to tear apart. Yeah. So once you get over that, if that's the kind of thing you're into, you're like, all right, well, I got a fish that doesn't really like to move all that much. Now I got to feed this live fish, which I don't really want to watch or clean up after. They like low light, which means you don't really get to see the shimmering as much as you might expect. And they also need a large tank and a relatively large group, so now you're into it for quite a bit. Now, again, if you like piranha and you've got them properly set up, that's cool, really. But for me, multi-tank addiction. Seriously, my cousin Vinny? Yes, that's right. The Utes.
Yeah, Finn already said two Utes.
Two Utes, that's right. Well, when I was a Ute and my brother was a Ute, we were two Utes, and piranhas are out for me. I would not get them again.
Yucky.
I value my appendages. All right, you're done, right? Because I got two more.
I have one more.
You're really hard to please.
You'll agree.
She's ripping on all of our fish, guys.
I'm not.
All of the fish that we've grown to love. My fish are all like, everybody's like, yeah, those are horrible. Your fish are like, what?
All fish.
You're like hurting people's feelings left and right.
No, if you love them, knock yourself
out.
That's how
she hurts people's feelings all the time, left and right.
Me. Okay.
Next thing you know, it's gonna be like, what kind of car do you drive? Oh, that one? That's stupid. That'll be the live stream in 2 weeks. It'll be, cars you should never buy again, and she'll just go down the list. Buick, Chevy, Toyota, Honda, Subaru. Those are all horrible. What kind of car do you want? I walk everywhere. These cars are terrible.
That'd be funny if I literally named every single fish except Bettis.
Right. Yeah. Fish. We're here like 72 hours. I didn't know this was going to be a live stream marathon. Next fish I hate, coolie loaches. What? All right. Yeah. I hate fish with a good personality. Makes me feel bad about myself. See that fish over there? It looks like it's smiling all the time. I hate that fish. I will never buy that again. When I'm in a bad mood, I want a fish that's in a bad mood. That one always looks happy. All right, I'm done. You can go ahead now.
Okay.
Sorry.
Wait till I finish Okay, Midas Cichlids when they're in a pair. When they're in a pair, I would never say, let's get a pair. Because they have 1 million babies, and then the babies kill daddy.
Well, they don't always do that. Lots of people have had plenty of success breeding Midas and
killed
Red Devils.
And I will never, ever...
Yeah, that happened. So, do you want me to tell the story, or would you like to?
I don't want to tell the story.
So the story goes like this. We did a Midas cichlid species profile, and I basically show... This makes it even worse, I guess, for you, more traumatic, is we got these Midas cichlids by mistake. They were supposed to be fire mouse. I've told the story a million times. They weren't. They were Midas cichlids, but they were this big. They were maybe an inch. That's why we couldn't tell. Probably smaller than that. That's why I couldn't really tell, because most South Central American cichlids basically look similar when they're really, really tiny. So got them. They started growing up. We grew them out from about this big, and Roger and Ruby were then huge, big. They were a pair in a 75. They had little children's.
They did.
Probably like 800. There were many of them. And Midas cichlids, they kind of do what discus do, and the fry kind of pick off the parents. Well, Raj, the father, he just decided, you know what? My job as a fodder is to just sit around and let the utes, the 800 utes, pick off of his mucus secretions, but then he wouldn't eat. So I'm like, this isn't good. He's not really active. Let me get him out of the tank. You know what? The mom can start secreting some of the mucus too, so they kind of pick on her a little bit. But she was much more...
She was smarter.
She's like, you know what? You guys aren't doing this anymore. You eat the
like,
food that's fallen in the water over here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Raj is now in a quarantine, like hospital tank, and Raj never recovered.
No.
So he just went on a... He's like, my main goal is to take care of the fish. Now we're depressing everybody with that sad story. But yeah, I would definitely not keep them as a pair anymore after going. Plus, what are you gonna do with 800 Midas cichlids? So
exactly.
There's that.
But Ruby, she's one of my favorite fish in the fish room. She is like
she's great. Yeah, she's the female. She's the mom of all those fish.
Sweetheart. She's a water puppy.
Yeah, and then we got rid of a lot of them. A lot of the fry. So Benjamin, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm in the UK and I'm so glad you're live. I just got back from seeing The Conjuring 3 at the movies, and I ain't sleeping for a month. That is too funny. The Conjuring 3, huh? The Conjuring. I think I saw.
Yuck.
I might have seen the first one. It sounds familiar.
So you're at like 2:30 a.m., huh?
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna be here for a while until you just you just listen and you'll just fall asleep. I don't know what's worse, falling asleep with Conjuring 3 in your brain or falling asleep with my voice. My students always tell me, I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, because I have like the recordings of my classes. So they listen to them, the hybrid students. Like, yeah, I fall asleep and you're talking all the time and then it just puts me to sleep. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I'm of some value. Don't know how much microbiology you're learning when you're sleeping while listening, but at least you fell asleep on time. Tesla, thank you so much for the super chat. I live in Northwest Indiana and I have problems keeping neon and Cardinal Tetras too. My water is too hard. I have no issues keeping black skirt Tetras. Yeah, and even most other neon types, I'm fine. But the regular standard neons are hard. The Cardinals are hard, but like black neons, we've got those. We've had those before. They're fine. The blues that we got from Flip Aquatics are doing fantastic. It's just those two are a little bit more finicky. All right, my last two. And then we're going to get to some questions because, man, we've gone on a long time. You had such a big list. I didn't expect you to be so anti-fish. She's anti-fish.
Oh, no, I'm not.
You're an anti-fishite.
I love fishies. Yep.
So, does anybody remember that? Anti-dentite? Don't say anything. You're an anti-dentite. Somebody's going to remember what that's from. Don't you?
I have a guess. No, I'm not saying
All right.
it.
Okay, my last ones are two of them, and I dislike them. Dislike, I guess, is a strong word. One is tiger barbs. And I've had many tiger barbs, and I've tried tiger barbs many times, and I have a couple problems. One is tiger barbs, they get a little larger than you might expect. They're somewhat kind of active, and they hate each other. I've never met a group of fish that just don't like each other as much as tiger barbs. Tiger barbs must constantly be like swimming around the tank, like, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? Huh? What are you looking at?
Wow.
You looking at me? I'm going to bite your tail off. You looking at me? And then they're all like, hey, let's go get that one. And then they go, that one's gone. And there's 8 of them left.
Wow.
7 of them are like, you know what? That one over there, I don't like his attitude. I'm going to get that one. And eventually they just pick each other off. Now, I know if you keep them in large enough groups, that doesn't happen. The problem is I don't want to commit that size of a tank to having them in a proper sized group to prevent the what are you looking at problem with the tiger barbs. Everybody's saying Seinfeld. Love it. Myrtle was like, boom, Seinfeld. Delta Charlie, Seinfeld. Yeah, anti-dentite. When I think it was it Jerry that was against dentists or something? Yeah. Yeah, Kramer called him an anti-dentite.
Oh, okay.
I remember that. All right, the next one is, and it's for the exact same reason, Buenos Aires Tetra. The Buenos Aires Tetra. Like, I think if you put the Buenos Aires and the tiger barbs together, you would just get a tornado of anger swirling about.
Yeah.
That's another movie. Tornado of anger swirling about. But anyway, Buenos Aires Tetras, I just won't do them again. They're mean. No, I think in the rights, those would be a good fish if you've got maybe medium-sized, semi-aggressive South Central American cichlids. Both of those could work out really well, provided they don't have really long fins that can get fin nipped. But both of those things, they can be a little rough. Little rough. All right, I'm done. Those are the ones. Those are the ones for me. All right, let's see here. What are people saying over? What are people saying over here? Let me scroll around here looking for.
What about the tiger barb breeding?
Oh, the tiger barb. Thank you. I said we were going to do tiger barb stuff. So after I go through all that, tiger barb breeding. Hate their personalities. Go ahead and breed them. So their eggs, I don't know a lot of, I haven't bred them. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to give you the first-hand experience about, yep, I've bred tiger barbs, know all about them. Here's how you do it. Barbs are egg scatterers. So basically, you want to match the water. Anytime you're breeding a fish, we're big on making sure our water parameters are stable, right? That is great when you keep fish at stable water parameters that are maybe slightly out of their ideal conditions. But when you want to breed them, that's when you want to start doing the research and figuring out, okay, what are their more ideal pH and water hardness and water temperatures, and you got to get there. The second thing is you're going to want a relatively large group. Obviously, make sure you've got males and females. They're egg scatterers. I think most people who have success breeding barbs in general are going to use spawning mops. They're going to let the fish do their thing. Usually, a lot of the fish that are going to breed, they're going to breed in the evening or the early morning hours, and then they're going to scatter the eggs everywhere. You remove the spawning mops to a separate tank, maybe like a 10-gallon tank. You put them in there. If there are eggs in those mops, they're generally going to hatch within three-ish days or so. The issue and the reason why I don't breed the tetras or the rainbow fish or anything like that is because I don't want to mess with the smaller live foods that are required. The smallest I really want to mess with is live baby brine. And unfortunately, with a lot of the rainbows and a lot of the barbs, you've got to go with the micro worms and that kind of thing. And I'm just lazy and I don't want to do that. But if you did, that would be the way to go. When you see those little slivers swimming around the tank, that's probably what you're going to feed first until they get to the size of eating live baby brine. So that is, if I were breeding them, understand again, this is from exactly 0% experience. That's what I would try. I hope that was worthy of an answer. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I'm scrolling all around. Now my chat is jumping everywhere.
In the beginning of the chat, there were a number of people suggesting that we go live from Florida next Wednesday.
We thought about that. The problem is going to be, I don't know if going live from a phone is really going to be all that entertaining.
I've seen some lives from a phone, and they were
lots
very
of lives.
choppy.
Yeah, and plus the other issue is I don't think, if I was going to do a live, it would be out on a beach somewhere, and I don't think we're going to have good internet. Otherwise, but I'm thinking about putting out a video on Wednesday. Remember the old school days when I would actually do a video on Wednesdays? I might do that in its place. But yeah, that's kind of the story there. All right, let me see here. What do we got going on? I keep scrolling around here. Let's see here. Caleb, what a cool larger aquarium fish for a 75-gallon. Cool larger. All right, not cool water. Cool larger aquarium fish. 75. Man, oh man, I can't even read today. 75-gallon. Cool larger aquarium. Let me try it again. Community fish. 75-gallon. Well, it depends on what other fish you got in there. So if you can provide a little bit more information, if you don't have it set up yet, just say, we don't have it set up yet. But for 75 gallons, I do like the Geophagus, like just a single one, especially Geophagus tapajos. I think that's a really cool larger fish that, for the most part, leaves larger tetras and barbs and that kind of thing alone. Now, if you've got smaller fish like guppies or endlers, that's not going to work. They'll most likely eat some of those. So that's kind of the story there. What you got?
K2 said, I tried to put sunfish in a South American cichlid tank when I was around 10 years old. Bad idea.
Well, sunfish or pygmy sunfish, because the pygmies are like this big. If you're talking about like the bluegill type fish, I did the exact same thing. When I was a little kid, we had the Buenos cichlid tank that was a 35-gallon. We went to the creek, and there was a little pond over there as well, and I caught maybe 3 or 4 decent sized like pumpkin seed bluegill type fish, really pretty. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take them home and throw them in the cichlid tank. That was a bad idea, because it turns out that cichlids, especially the Mbuna, are much, much more aggressive. And within 12 hours, they had done a real number on the bluegill, and I had to get them out and bring them back to the pond. And I was a little kid. I mean, this is back in the early 80s or whatever. Brought them back and had to get them out of there because that was bad. I learned that lesson. And then when it comes to like the native fish, trying to get that word out, native fish, catfish are not good to have in an aquarium. Like, remember when we put those catfish in there, and all of a sudden I'm looking at my perch, my yellow perch. I'm like, why are they getting all beat up? They were always fine. It was that stupid catfish I put on. I had to get him out of there right away too.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. What? Things are bouncing around. Cheryl says, you could just show me the waves on the beach for a live stream and I'd be happy. Love the beach. That's not a bad idea. T-Bone, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you for your help, guys. Much appreciated. Well, hopefully it's a little bit helpful. Thank you so much for the super chats. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. My mom did that, and the bluegill ate our goldfish. Wow, yeah. Bluegill are mean. Yeah. They are. I don't know if I'd really want to keep them in an aquarium. I like, if you're looking for a really cool native fish, yellow perch are absolutely outstanding. We had a group, and they weren't really huge, but we had like 3 or 4 of them. They were maybe that big or so, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches, but they always stayed together. They weren't really active. They seemed to want to be around one another, at least at that size. I don't know what happens if they get larger, but I really had fun keeping those fish. That was a tank I wish I had back. Gawain, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey guys, don't remember what I was doing when I found your channel. Glad I did. Learn a lot from aquascape to building a stand. Went from 1 to 4 tanks. That's cool. Thank you so much for the super chat. Glad that you are on your way to a multiple tank addiction, right?
Welcome.
MTS, multiple tank syndrome. That's the word I was looking for. What's going on with my beard here? I got like a piece of something hanging off. Anyway, that's awesome. Glad you're here. Well, you're in the right spot. If you've got multiple tanks going up, and nowadays building a stand, I was watching or listening to somebody was putting a comment in one of the social media things about how they built a stand and it cost them a whole bunch of money. So yeah, that's not cheap these days. Like I said, I mentioned that maybe last week or the week before, but I've been holding off and doing some stuff in the fish room, especially the light blocking covers for the tanks, because plywood is crazy expensive, and oh my goodness. Yeah.
All right. Michael, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Lemon tetras, what do you think about them? How long until they will get some nice yellow color?
I like lemon tetras. I think they're a good smallish to medium sized tetra. The color sometimes depends more on their surroundings. So what I mean by that is a lot of times the tetras in particular show better color when the background is darker and when the substrate is darker. So in almost all cases, they just show better. And you're going to see that more yellowy color with darker substrate and darker background. So it might not be, as they get older, they will tend to show more color. If they're in a bigger group, you'll tend to see some of the more dominant fish show a little bit more color, and some of them might be colored down a little bit. They don't do that as much as cichlids do, but they do it to a certain extent. But it's the background and the substrate I have found that really show the fish off the most bestest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one.
All right.
All right, Regina wants to know, have you ever kept Mono Argentis?
The brackish water fish? The one that's kind of shaped like this?
I'm not familiar with them.
If that is just... I don't know. I'm not real good with the brackish water fish, but I know the monos are generally, that's the brackish water fish. And if that is the case, yes. Back in the day, in my teen years, I had a 60-gallon tank that was basically like a 55, only a little bit taller. I had monos in that tank. I had scats in that tank. And I'm not necessarily saying that was a good setup, because it just, it was one of those things where you're a teenager and people sell you fish and you just throw them in there because they sold them to you. So I had monos, I had scats, and what was the other one I had in there? I don't remember. Now I don't remember what it was, but it was another brackish water fish, and it was pretty cool. I did set it up as brackish water, and I had fun with them. They lived until I think I might have moved and broke that tank down and brought them back to the fish store just to say, here you go. I can't do this right this second. I will set it up again in a few months, and here's some fish. But those were cool fish. Very active though. All right, let's see here. Shy Savage Cichlids. The small scape. Love that duckweed hack. OMG. I hate duckweed. I have some need to get rid of it. Thanks.
Knock yourself out. It's relaxing too.
Yep. Don't give it away though.
I'm not.
Right?
Just saying it's relaxing.
I don't know if it's a reflection. What is seriously going on here? Something's messed up. Is it messed up?
No.
All right. Maybe it's just a reflection.
Yeah.
Something's happening. I'm just not happy about that situation. All right, let's see here.
Probably the heat.
You're fanning. Yeah, we're really good. The air's not on. So right now we're like in between where it's not quite warm enough to put the air on, although I probably should have. Yeah. We're going to get one of those silent fans that people do. All right, let's see. I'm scrolling around. And by the way, if you have comments or questions, just put the @Primetime Aquatics. That certainly helps me locate the stuff. Lonnie, a.k.a. Hold on, now I got something on my screen here. Just do the whole lecture in your fish voice. I could do that. I don't know if that would keep them awake, though. I don't know if that would keep people awake. Liz says, OMG, I'm so sad now. I'm sure that's about the Midas Cichlid thing. Yeah, it just brought down the whole party here. It's like, yeah, we were having a live stream party until I told that horrible story about the Midas Cichlid dying. Yeah, not cool. All right, let's see what else we got here. Multi-Tank Addiction says, okay, I had to disagree now. Midas are beautiful, especially with a cloud of fry. Oh, yeah, dude, no doubt about it.
Looks beautiful, and they're cute when they're tiny. However,
our male Midas was all-time. It ranks up there. It's one of my top 10 favorite individual fish in terms of personality and just recognize you when you're close to the tank and feeding time. And yeah, it was a really cool fish. I mean, it was cool, but also he was also he was mean. He was a Midas cichlid. Remember when we got the group, I had 9 of them. Again, I thought they were firemouth cichlids, and one of the reasons why I knew they weren't is I was keeping them in a 10-gallon quarantine tank, and I went from 9 to 6 in just a few weeks because he was this big. He was the biggest one. He was the biggest, bestest one. He wiped out 3 of them, and 2 of them, I think they were trying to get away, and they got stuck in the uplift of a sponge filter. I'm like, okay, these are not firemouth cichlids. They're a little bit aggressive, but they're not like this. This one's out for, he was out for blood.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What you got?
Let's see. Stephen Partney says, I am about to start my first tank after lurking for over a year.
Cool.
Doing a yellow lab species only, 75-gallon. Yep. Very nice. Should I go with 2 75-gallon hang-on backs or 1 110 size?
So one, that's going to be an awesome tank. 75-gallon with some yellow lab species tank. If you haven't set it up yet, go black background, black sand, and that yellow is really going to pop. It's going to be awesome. In a 75, I prefer to have 2 smaller filters on either side of the tank. Once I go to a 4-foot tank, I love having filtration on either side, and I just step it down. So you're thinking 2 75-gallon filters. That might be a little much unless you can turn down the flow a little bit. But having those 2 filters will be nice because you won't have dead spots in the tank where it's like, okay, I've got a big filter, or maybe it's right in the center, and then you've got maybe areas on either side of the tank that's collecting fish waste and detritus. Or if you've got it on one side of the tank, now you've got an entire other side that's just, it's got such low flow that you're starting to get algae issues over there. So definitely, especially with cichlids, I would do 2 smaller hang-on back filters. Even something like maybe the Seachem 55. Just make sure it's going to fit over the rim of the tank, depending on the 75 gallon that you have. It should, but something like that might work, or around that size where you're still getting more than enough gallons per hour in that tank. But, and the same thing too with a 4-foot tank, you could consider 2 smaller heaters. So normally with a 75 gallon, you break out the big 300 watt heater and you slap that bad boy in there. That's fine. But if you want a little bit of redundancy, you might consider being like, okay, maybe I'll do a couple of 150 watt heaters, one on each side right next to the outflow of the hang-on back filters. If you do that, and you want to do that really the right way, take those heaters and hook them up to a separate thermostat that's going to kick them both on and off based on the temperature of the tank, because it's really hard sometimes to have 2 heaters on either side of the tank and be like, okay, well, I turned them both to 77 according to what the heater's telling me. And then you've got one that's actually set to go off at 75. The other one's set to go off at maybe 79. And you just find out that one of them is just running all the time. And the other one never turns on. But it's going to be a cool tank. All right, hold on. I got one here. Felicia says, 40 breeder or 33 long? Does the 4 inches taller make a huge difference for stocking options? So I did a video on that exact thing, a 40 breeder versus a 33 long. You can check that out, and I go into more detail there. But the summary is I love both of those tanks. I love the 40 breeder, which, by the way, isn't actually 40 gallons. It's closer to 47 or 48 gallons. And I love the 33 long because you do get that extra foot. The downside is with the 33 long, it's only 12.5 inches wide as opposed to 18.5 inches wide with the 40 breeder. And of course, the 40 breeder is a little bit taller. It really depends on the fish that you're trying to keep, right? And I like the fact that you're thinking about how your stocking options are going to differ between those 2 tanks, because they'll differ a little bit. So for instance, any taller type of fish isn't going to work well in a 33 long. So I'm talking about like angelfish or sevrums. Certainly discus wouldn't work. They don't really work in either one of those tanks, but even sevrums, we've got a pair and a 40 breeder, but that's about as far as I would push that. So if you've got fish that are going to be a little bit taller, that might not work so well. If you're looking at maybe a community setup, either one is great. What would be because I know your main problem with the more narrower tanks is scaping, right? The depth. So
some of them I just dread.
Yeah.
55.
Yeah. Well, and then 33 long, it's got the same length and width as a 55. It's just shorter.
True. But that doesn't stress me out as much. I don't know why. Just because there are a lot of driftwoods that are just very long that you can get away with. But the 55, I go in with a plan. And
the reason I like, and there's other reasons why I like the 33s and the 40s. So the 40 gallon breeders, at least when you're getting into the fish room side of things, you can double stack those, and they only take up 3 feet of space. So I can put, like on the back wall in the one side of the fish room by the multi-tanks, I've got 3 double stacks of 40 breeders, where if I had 4-foot tanks, that wasn't going to be possible. Well, no, I would have only been able to do them side by side. However, the 33 longs, what's nice about those is I can triple stack those. Now, I know for most people, it's like, I'm not trying to build a fish room here. I just want a cool tank. But it is nice with the 33 longs if you get a 55 gallon double stand where you can put a 33 long on the bottom and the top, or a 55 on top and a 33 long on the bottom, and still have plenty of room to work in that tank. So you really can't go wrong with either one. They're both awesome. The 33 long is going to be more expensive, though. That's the other thing, too. And you'll most likely want to do double filtration because it's a 4-foot tank. Much smaller filters, but then compared to what we were talking about, the 75, but you're probably still going to want to double up. Where the 40 is still a 3-foot tank, and if you've got a nice enough filter, you might not need a second one on that one. You got anything?
Yeah.
All right.
Liz asked, what's the happiest looking fish? I have 2.
The happiest looking fish.
Yeah, I have 2. I would say the parrotfish looks happy.
So you're talking about the blood parrot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Remember, one of the first ones he was my little boy. His name was Happy. And he looked happy. That's why I named him Happy. But, I know the breeding is, anyways. Now, the other one, I can never remember the names of these fish, ever. You're going to have to write it down so I can, visually see it.
Okay.
They're in the BBA tank. The long, skinny fish.
BBA tank?
Yeah.
We don't have any black breedology tanks anymore. It all died back.
No, it's still in there.
Long, skinny fish?
Yeah, they were in the one across from my Nano Nook on the bottom. They're like longish, very colorful, really pretty. I think you only have a couple of them.
The Nanochromis? The ones that were in the one that dug up?
Oh, they're bigger. They're like this long.
Long, skinny. Are they gobies?
No.
They
were in the bottom one.
Julidochromis?
They look like they're stretched out. I always say that they look like they're stretched out.
I have no idea. I don't know what you're talking about.
Really?
They're
kind of almost spotted.
Stretched?
But their shape
Maybe
is
you
totally
guys can
different.
help. I don't have any idea what you're talking about here.
They're very long looking. Like you took a regular fish and you just...
And where are they now?
Stretched them. I think they're in the BBA tank.
In the 125?
Yeah.
I don't have any long stretched out fish in the 125.
At least that's what I thought they were.
All right. Well, Gudgeons?
No.
Yeah,
they're
real. I don't. I think she's lost.
I want to go down the basement now.
Julie's Peacock Gudgeons.
Guess the fish. That's
Is it a
great
loach?
Game. No.
Crown loaches are pretty. They always look like they're having a good time.
Can I go downstairs and take a picture of them?
Yes, you go downstairs and take a picture. Peace out.
I'll be right back.
All right, because now I'm curious. I have no idea what she's talking about. And we don't have any yo-yo loaches. I don't think. I don't know. We're gonna find out because it was the cliffhanger. Now we just need to know. We need to know what it is, and it's probably gonna be something that is really common. So while she's gone, let's see here. How do you prepare to winterize outdoor fish? That is, I personally can't answer that question because we are dealing with outdoor fish for the first time, and that is this little mini pond, and we are going to be bringing them, and they're small. So in the pond, we've got white clouds, endlers, and some bristlenose plecos. We might put some neocaridina shrimp in there, but they're just going to come back in. So we'll set aside a tank and basically take those fish and probably stick them in a 20 long, maybe two 20 longs, or maybe we'll have to use one of the 30-gallon grow out totes for them over the winter. But the thing you have to think about is if you're bringing in fish from outside, be a little bit careful with that because you don't know necessarily what they were exposed to when they were outdoors, right? So, I mean, you think about, maybe a fish accidentally made fish waste in your pond and you didn't notice it, or an animal dropped a little thing in there, and little present. So you just never know 100% what they were exposed to. So it's not something where I would take those fish in from outside and just throw them back in a community tank. They will be isolated and quarantined as if they came from a pet store or some fish tank I didn't know. So we'll see. But that's what we're going to do. Let's see here. Freshwater facet. Let's see. Switch to sponge filters and love the minimal noise. No intake tube and clean lid look, but miss that really polished clear water. Any suggestions? Yeah, that is a downside. The downside to sponge filters, of all the filters I've ever compared and talked about, air-driven filtration it does the worst job of mechanical filtration. So there's a couple of things with sponge filters. One, the fine sponge filters are going to do a much, much better job of mechanical filtration than coarse sponges. To me, coarse sponges are really I've got a very heavily stocked tank and I want to make sure that I've got microbes that are growing in that sponge filter. So I always go with if I'm strictly relying on sponge filters for a tank, I have to use the fine sponge filters with the smaller pores just so it traps more stuff. The second thing is sponge filters do a horrible job of mechanical filtration once they get a little bit clogged. And that is the reason why when I talked about how we clean our sponge filters, We clean them in tap water. We do it every single week. And what that's doing is it's making sure that they have the capacity to pick up some of that stuff. But even with that, you still run into we still from time to time run into a problem where some of our tanks, they just don't pick up enough stuff. And you'll see in some of our videos. I mean, there's just not much we can do about it unless we throw a hang-on back filter or an internal canister filter just to kind of clean it up. But for us, that's kind of just the way it is. Yeah, but it's a downside potentially. And the other thing too, of course, you want to make sure that your flow is high enough. So if your flow is really slow, obviously there's not going to be a lot of water going through that sponge filter. You're going to get a lot less mechanical filtration. The other thing that you can do, depending on your setup, is you can get a splitter, or you get an air pump that's got multiple outlets. And if you can put 2 smaller sponge filters on either side of the tank, that can certainly help as well. All right, let's see here. Mr. Fish says, during the winter, I use an air pump to keep ice from forming in the goldfish pond. I also put in a heater. Yeah, so if you're going to leave the fish, and I didn't even really address that. If you're going to leave the fish in, like when we went to LR Brett's, he had all of his outdoor ponds. I remember it was, at one point, it was freezing outside. And he had heaters. He had all the ponds together, or the totes. He had water flow in there and heaters, and it seemed to work out okay. All right, so here she comes. Now we can stop talking about her. Don't replay this, okay?
Okay, I won't.
What
I was trying to get
us?
a good picture of him smiling, but I couldn't. He kept watching me. He's
All right, let's see. What is this?
It's the bottom 125.
The bottom one. Oh! All right. Yeah, go ahead and show the picture. There you go. Show that one. See, I don't know if people see it?
I don't know. Can you?
So anyway,
well, I don't think you can see it
if
at
you
all.
can't see it, if it's not, hold on, because it's not going to autofocus. You have to put it back by our face. Anyway, okay, you don't need to put it by my face, dude. If you want to see the fish that she's talking about, it is Therops aurigularis.
Yeah, I can never remember.
That is turned out to be a rather aggressive fish for us. I never had them before. I got them from I think it was a Greenwater Aquarius Society meeting. And I don't remember if it was one of the holiday get-togethers or the summer picnic. And they had these, they were full grown. I mean, they were big. Mm-hmm. They're not full grown, but pretty close to it. I'm like, those are beautiful fish. I've seen them before. I want to get them, got space for them. And my gosh, that thing, well, I had 2 of them. I had to split them up right away. I had them in a 75. I'm like, that's not going to work after about 2 days. One needs to get out of there because the bigger one's going to kill the smaller one. So I split them up. And then the bigger one decided that he was going to terrorize everybody. So then I'm like, now what am I going to do? So I put one of them in the Oscar tank with all the OB cichlids and all that.
Yeah.
And at first, that worked out really well. But lately, I've noticed that now that fish is running half of that 125. He will not let any... And the Peacock Cichlids that are in there are big. I mean, they're full grown. Like some of the OBs are 7 inches. I've got Red Empress Cichlids in there. They're not exactly pushovers. And this Therops aurigularis has got his little area next to the driftwood. He's like, nope, you're not coming over here. And he's got this whole section of the 125 to himself. The other one, I put in the Mbuna 75. And it was like, yep, you know what? I'm going to fit in just fine here. And nobody messed with him. And he didn't really mess with anybody else. But those fish are a little bit more aggressive than I expected. So Therops aurigularis.
But they look like they're smiling. So they look happy.
They do. Yeah, because they're happy. Because they're like,
well.
They're planning. That's what makes them happy. They're basically... You probably have to put those with a bunch of tiger barbs. Tiger barbs will be like, what are you looking at? Therops will be like, I'll show you what I'm looking at, buddy. I'm looking at a fish that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, he's a mean dude. So,
Michael suggested for me green lace filter shrimp.
okay.
They're miniature of bamboo shrimp. I just looked them up. They're really cute.
Let's see, because I don't know what those are. I've never had them before. Oh, those are cool. Okay. Yeah. We'll have to add those to the list of things that we need in our life.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here.
Cute.
No one was going to guess that. You know what, Lonnie?
Probably not.
Yeah, no one was going to guess that. You're absolutely right. That was
welcome to my world.
Elongated. That's not exactly what any of us were thinking about, I am sure. So
I don't know what to tell you.
Sorry Basher is a black angelfish, rare. Not really. Black angelfish are really cool. I have one in the 40-gallon breeder with kind of a standard and also a marble. I love black angelfish. I wouldn't say they're rare, but definitely cool. That should not, if you like them, definitely something to consider. But I wouldn't pay a premium if that's what you're asking. So if someone's charging a lot more for black angelfish than some of the others, I'd probably, they're not anything where I would spend a lot of extra money on. All right, let's see here. Scrolling around, we'll answer a few more questions because I'm about to die from the heat in here. And I know
it's nice downstairs.
I was just going to say, you probably opened up the door and
yeah,
everything was like a
great.
nice cool breeze. I'm going to go out and pass out on the back patio next to the pond, and it's going to be great. Maybe I'll just let the hose run over my head, because the garden hose is always so nice and cold. I'm going to go drink hose water after this.
Ooh.
Don't do that, kids. We used to do it all the time. It just tastes bad. All right, let's see. What?
James Manning lost fish.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's horrible.
Yeah.
That stinks, man.
See you next week. Well,
Yep.
we won't see you next week. See you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, but yeah, that really stinks. I mean,
that's a bummer.
It's never fun losing live animals, whether it's fish or anything in between, because you get attached to them and it stinks. It really does.
Like Lav lost Harvey, and Harvey just turned 1 year old.
Yeah, that stinks. It really does. All right, let's see here. David, thank you so much for the super chat. Hey guys, after my cichlids grow out, how often do I transfer fish from one tank to another tank? So you're breeding cichlids. It depends on the cichlid. So I don't remember if you said what you're breeding. I don't remember what type of cichlids you're breeding, because that's going to really make a big difference in terms of when you have to transfer them out. So for instance, if I were breeding Apistogramma or something small like that, or rams, you don't really have to transfer them all that much, because you might go from, okay, I've got these fish in a 10-gallon grow out, and you move them to maybe a 20 long, but a 1-inch Apisto or ram, you can keep a lot of those in a 20 long until you're ready to sell them. If you are dealing with, I don't know, Jack Dempsey's or Texas cichlids or Midas, like we were, like Midas cichlids, you had to move those things quick. They were basically, well, I think we left most of them in the 75, but if I were moving them to a 10, they'd probably have to move to a 20 within a few weeks, and then move into some kind of a large 55-gallon grow-out tote really quick. So it really depends on the fish that you're keeping. The nice thing, even in Buenos cichlids, so what I'll usually do with Buenos cichlids, because they're standard 4 or 5-inch fish, is I will let the female spit out the fry in a 10-gallon. I'll leave them together for a couple weeks. So, and that goes the same way with Peacock cichlids for the same thing. So I'll leave them in the tank for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, remove the female, let those fish grow out probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 weeks before I think about maybe moving them into a grow out tote that's going to be like a 35-gallon grow out tote. I might split them up into multiple grow out totes, and there they can pretty much stay. Right? I can put 20 of them in a 35-gallon grow out tote, and they'll get to sellable size in that tote. I won't move them again. Ricky, thank you so much for the sticker. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. It's the burger sticker. I like it. I haven't seen that one.
No.
Well, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi. What's up? Glad you're here. Thank you for being here. All right, let's see here. Samsung Galaxy. I want to know an interesting story, an interesting side note. The first few videos, actually not the first few, the first probably 5 months of Primetime Aquatics, all the videos that you see from the beginning up until about November of 2017 was shot on a Samsung Galaxy S5. So yeah. All right, anyway.
Amazing.
I have fresh baby Apistogramma Fry in a 10-gallon. Is it okay to do a water change? Will it hurt the fry? Haven't done a water change in 5 weeks. I would let your nitrates determine when you need to do a water change. With the fry, I follow the same rules, and that is in the fry tanks, if the nitrates are getting above 20 parts per million, I want to do a water change. Now, what I will say with the fry, it might be best if you are doing smaller, more frequent water changes. So if you have a 10-gallon tank, go ahead and measure the nitrates. If you're finding, oh my gosh, this is at 40 or 60 parts per million, don't do a 75% water change, especially with Apistogramma. That's going to mess some things up. But what you will want to do is be like, okay, maybe I'm going to do a 5% water change daily until I hit that 20 parts per million. And then maybe I only have to do a gallon or two, or maybe a gallon, which is the 10% water change, every few days to maintain that. But smaller, less frequent, less disruptive water changes. I mean, when you think about the ultimate breeding setup, it's a flow-through system, right? So you've got, or a drip system where fresh water's coming in at a very small volume on one side, and then you've got an overflow on the other side, and basically what's happening is every couple days, the water is being 100% changed out. So that's the ultimate, but most of us don't have the ability to do that. So with fry, smaller, more frequent water changes, because you don't want to have changes in water parameters, especially temperature and pH. So just consider that. But yeah. Truth will out, thank you so much for the super chat. Better late than never. What's up? FFP? What's FFP? Fellow fish peeps. I got it. Thank you for the parentheses. Keep on keeping on, Jason and Joanna. Well, thank you so much for being here. Glad you're here. Even if it's a little later than normal.
Welcome.
It's cool, man. It's cool.
G.O. That's a sweet prime tea. Thank you very much. Sporting the Optimus Prime.
Oh, I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus is
I was like, what are you talking about? You don't have a Primetime Aquatics shirt on?
No, Prime.
I was a little confused.
It's a pun. Get it? I'm glad you noticed.
It's a pun.
I did it. See if anybody would notice. You're the winner.
Well, maybe somebody else noticed. They just didn't feel like saying anything, or maybe they did and we missed it. But
you know what? Transformers just says summer to me.
It does?
Summer blockbusters. Yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, because we saw one of the Transformers at the drive-in.
Yeah.
But you know,
sweet.
that's kind of annoying. How many of you have ever seen an action movie like that at the drive-in and realize, because everything is dark in the movie, I think they do that to make the effects, like all the flaws in the movie effects, look not as flawed. So they just darken up the movie. Then you go to a drive-in, which typically, I mean, that's got to show a lot of brightness to make the movie go. And they're like, what the heck's even going on? You spend half the movie just looking at a screen with a bunch of noise, and I don't really actually know what's happening here. Then you watch it on TV, maybe like a few months later, like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Now I actually can see what's going on.
Although sometimes they would start the movie just before it got completely dark.
Yeah, but not Transformers. That would be the second movie.
Not necessarily.
All right, hold on. I'm going to answer this question. Jerry, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, Jason. Have you ever kept an axolotl? I know they are amphibians. Can they be kept with fish? I am considering building a raised bed pond outdoors. I have not kept axolotls, but I do know that most people, well, I shouldn't say most people. I know most of the people that I know who've kept them don't keep them with fish because they have those gills that are extremely sensitive, and sometimes fish will pick at them. But for those of you who've had axolotls and you've had good luck keeping them with any kind of fish, feel free to pipe in. The problem is, if the fish are small, the axolotl's probably going to eat them, and if they're big, they might pick on those gills. So yeah, it can be a hard thing to, and you got to go cooler water fish too. So that's something else to think about. Snail Team 6. My Maltese are coming Friday. Raised my pH/GH a tad as you recommended. Tips on weaning them off. Tap water 7.5 pH, 150 parts per million GH. Thank you very much. Water may be fine. Already raised parameters. So yeah, like I said, your water is, it's not ideal, but it's also, I wouldn't say that it's outside of parameters that will harm the fish. You also don't know, or maybe you do, how the fish were raised, because that's the other thing too. Sometimes we like to do the ideal, and then we realize, wow, the people that bred them, it wasn't quite the ideal parameters, and they wind up going from less than ideal but stable to ideal but different, and that can stress them out. So I know that gets a little complicated, but yeah, your tap water is close. Again, if it's me and I've got those parameters, I'm probably doing a couple things. One, and I think I mentioned this before, is doing the aragonite and the crushed coral maybe as part of the substrate, or you can put that in a filter bag. Excuse me. The other thing is you can use like the Fritz Lake Tanganyika cichlid salts, and just make sure that you're keeping stable with that. But yeah, I think you're going to probably be in pretty good shape. I can't wait to hear an update in a couple weeks and see how it went. All right, let's see. Let's do 2 more, and then we'll call it an evening. How about that?
All right, I got a couple. I got to do it back to back, so I get counted as 1. All right, so Delta Charlie said, that's so funny. I was just reading the description of the chalkboard t-shirt on your website, Drive-In. Yeah, it's the Goby Guppy Drive-In.
Yep.
It's what we modeled it after because, we like drive-ins.
Yeah.
Until they closed ours.
Yeah, they did.
Ooh.
I know.
And, okay, so freshwater facet. Do you spend time in your fish room other than during maintenance or videos? Do you read or watch TV in there? I'm afraid it would be out of sight, out of mind for me. Personally speaking, it's can be difficult, especially in the summer months, to go down the basement in the dark when you want to be outside, see light and stuff. So it can be difficult. We no longer have a TV down there. We used to have a TV down there and watch movies, and the couch was in a formation that was easier.
Yep.
So
and we have a TV that's not hooked up. That the idea is, all right. The problem is I only have one little area where I could hang a TV on the wall, and there's really no way to put seating in that area to see the TV. So I have to figure that out because I do want to get one back down there. I do spend some time down there. I mean, just the feeding alone means I'm going to be down there for an hour a day, and I know you said besides feeding and maintenance and stuff. But that's a pretty decent amount of time. We do have the couches down there, so it is fun to kind of hang out down there. The boys actually spend a decent amount of time down there, I think just because it's just out of the way. So they're down there on they're on their phones watching whatever, Netflix and stuff like that. So yeah, we do definitely go down there because at some point it's like, what's the point of having the fish if you're not actually going to go down there and enjoy them, right? Mm-hmm. So for sure. Let's see here, Nate. Hi guys, I just set up a 55-gallon over the weekend and wanted stocking ideas. It's a heavily planted tank, upgraded from a 29-gallon. I want to keep a larger type of fish. So 55-gallon planted tank, larger type of fish. Planted, I like angelfish in a 55 planted tank. I think they look cool. I would only do one. You could probably do more, but you get the whole thing with the breeding pairs and males sometimes fight. One is safe. One, you're not going to have a lot of issues between the angelfish. And they get large. I don't think a lot of people appreciate just how large, especially a veil-tail angel can get when they're close to a foot from top to bottom with those big giant fins. So I would certainly look at that. Other larger fish for a 55-gallon planted. The other thing it depends on the types of plants. If your plants are glued or they're in like a little potter or something like that. I did have Geophagus topos in a 55, but they will sometimes dig. So if you've got rooted plants in the substrate, that might not work as well. Again, in a 55, I would probably just do one if it's more of a community type of feel. Electric blue acara. No, not planted. Don't do electric blue acara in a planted tank. That would probably be a bad idea because it would eat some of the plants for sure. What else? Pearl gourami. I know they're not huge, but a pearl gourami would be pretty cool. Not super aggressive like some of the other gouramis, but still a sizable fish and really pretty. Got a lot of iridescence to it. I like those. I like turtles. What else? For a decent size, almost like a centerpiece fish. The Severums, tank's not quite large enough. They eat plants. What else? Let me think about that because I'm sure there's others too. All right, let's see. We've got some more super chats coming in. Wow, thank you so much. I'm thinking of throwing half my mixed guppies into a 100-gallon tub out of my vacation house in Pennsylvania with a heater and sponge. Do it. I think that would be cool for the summer, and then just see what happens. Right? That's kind of the exciting thing about doing like summer tubbing sort of stuff is you throw these fish in there and like, all right, well let's just see what happens. It'll be a surprise because you can't really view them from the sides, and you'll just see what's going to happen there. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
Marty, thank you so much for the super chat. Methods to raise pH outside of buffering powder. So to raise pH, usually you want to raise KH because KH is your buffering capacity. And usually, not always, but almost always, well, pretty much always, if you can get the KH higher, it often stabilizes pH at a higher level. And so that to me means that you're going to want something like aragonite in your water. Again, whether that is in a filter bag, but to me it works better if you use it as a substantial portion of your substrate. I think that would probably be a good way to go. All right, let's see here. Scrolling on down. We'll do one more for good measure, and then we'll call it a day. We'll call it a night. Creighton says, also a good idea. It's for Apistos in a 29 gallon, so I could aerate a few 5-gallon buckets for a 50% water change. Yep. All right. Oh, I saw one just pop up here. Freshwater facet. Thanks. I've been curious. I have MTS, which might be leading towards a fish room situation. Fish rooms are great, and we've talked about them numerous times. I've done lots of videos on how to do air, how to do water, in the way that we did it. It was simple kind of setup. We didn't drill any of our tanks. So, the filtration, all that kind of stuff. It can get very costly very fast. My recommendation is think ahead, right? Have a big plan. If you've got a certain amount of space set aside, think ahead to what you want that to look like. And then just take your time and go slow. And if you look at some of our older videos, you'll notice that we did things in phases. So I had built out a wall, and then a little bit of time would go by, I built out another wall. After I really made sure, one, I'm okay with maintaining these tanks, and I've got a real good plan for the future build. But so you want to be thinking long term in terms of wastewater systems, air, systems if you're going to be using air-driven systems, how you're going to do water changes, but then the actual build, take your time with it because sometimes things change. Yep. Delta Charlie, thank you so much for the super chat. I've watched live every one of your streams. Have a good time next week. Thank you so much. You've been here every single time, so it's awesome. We love that you guys are hanging out with us on Wednesdays. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, next Wednesday we won't have a stream most likely, but we will in a couple weeks, and we'll share with you all of our findings and all the stuff that we've got coming up, because the plan is to go down there and get lots of footage of lots of different things and lots of cool videos over the summer. So that's
we'll both be Instagramming. So if you want, shots of Florida and stuff.
Primetime_aquatics and
the smallscape.
The smallscape. So we'll be there. But thank you so much for everybody who did all the super chats today, and Riddle and Mary Page for holding down the fort and doing all that stuff. And hopefully, I don't know if anybody's going to be there, but definitely stop by. If you're going to any of these events, you need to stop by. You would hurt our feelings like, I went there. Like, well, did we meet? Nope. Well, why not? So definitely, whether that's going to be Orlando or Dallas or Chicago, all those things coming up, hope to see you there. But you guys have a wonderful night, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye.